Hey everybody, thanks for joining us and welcome to the third installment of Fight Like the Movies, the tutorial series where we study cinema's most epic fight scenes and employ what we discover to develop a deeper understanding of film combat. I'm your instructor, TJ Cencula, and this week's assignment, The Lord of the Rings. This trilogy is comprised of 3 installments that released between 2001 and 2003. Directed by Peter Jackson, stunt coordination by George Marshall Ruge, with Swordmaster Bob Anderson. Let's take a trip down the Hobbit hole. Roll it! One of the most amazing things about the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the attention to detail. The culture spans not only their wardrobe and their artistic style and the architecture, but the way the characters fight and move. Middle-earth largely resembles a pseudo-Western European medieval era. So you have a lot of heavy weapons, broadswords, bows and arrows, axes. You can't simply just develop generic choreography and interchange any weapon that you want to. You wouldn't expect a human to employ all of the same techniques that an elf or a dwarf or an orc or a ring wraith would have. So as your stunt coordinator and swordmaster are trying to develop compelling fight scenes, they're having to consider many unique physical attributes of these characters that are going to give them abilities that are unique to their race. Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, when you see them fighting side by side, it really gives you an idea of how different their fighting styles are. While Legolas is particularly a ranged character and his bow is his primary offensive weapon, when things get close range, he knows how to handle a sword. His style is set apart from other characters with flashy flourishes and larger-than-life techniques. Dwarves, on the other hand, every time that axe swings, somebody dies. They're small of stature, but they wield some of the most devastating weapons ever developed, and they rain down that painful fury upon orc after orc. Aragorn means business. He does not mess around. He's by far the most resourceful. He uses found objects. He uses torches and fire. He punches, he kicks. He does whatever he needs to do to survive. Now let's meet the class. Let's jump right in. And action! One of the things that every single one of the Lord of the Rings movies had was some kind of epic battle scene. You'll notice orc after orc just crawling over each other, and their bodies are so tightly compressed in the space that it becomes very dangerous if people don't know how to coordinate the paths of their weapons. So that was the first mission that we had to do. I put people in a really tight space, and we became responsible for each other's safety. You cannot just wield your weapon around willy-nilly. You really have to carefully orchestrate your routes as you're going from one target to the next. And there are some techniques that are just not possible. You can't be swishing your sword around like this when you have people right here and right here. Also, there are certain things that you need to do to be able to make it play to the camera too. So if I've got a weapon in my hand and I'm playing to you and I set myself up like this, you see the edge of the weapon. There's a visual threat. But if I prep it like this, like somebody might do in life, I'm actually hiding the weapon from the camera and hiding it from the audience. When you hide the danger, then it makes it harder to communicate the drama and the suspense. It also makes it helpful for safety's sake. When it's here, I can't see it. When it's right here, it's in front of my face, the camera sees it, and now I can be responsible for this. There are times when the movements have to be adapted and you have to change your paths because people get in your way, and coincidentally, that's how it is in a real battle too. So keeping your wits about you and being able to move around safely and to be able to take responsibility for the person who you're fighting with. When they're moving backwards, they can't see where they're going. So you become the eyes behind their head. It almost is the exact opposite of what's happening in the scene. In the scene, we're trying to kill each other. And through the prism of the camera, it needs to look that way. But we also have to protect the people around us. Another thing I can say from experience is anytime I've shot a battle scene, the director always wants to compress the bodies in the space. Because when you're looking through the camera, for some reason, it makes people seem like they're a lot farther away than they are. And this is not just fights, this is anything. If you've ever shot an interview and you're sitting next to somebody, it looks like you're 10 miles apart when really, in real life, you're only sitting a foot away from each other. So you kind of have to be overlapped or sitting on each other's lap for it to look normal through the lens. Fighting is the same way, except the stakes are a lot higher when you're in the middle of an epic sword fight than it is when you're in an interview. So when you're super close to the person next to you, there's some potential for collateral damage. I challenged the class by not only encouraging them to really move their bodies as close as they could, but also by playing a little game I like to call Confident Cameraman. Confident Cameraman is a little exercise I like to play with my students where I assume the role of a camera operator that is very secure, that the stunt people around him know their office and are going to maintain the safety of not only the people around them, but all of the expensive equipment. So I kind of meander my way through the middle of epic battles with swords swishing and slashing and swiping so that it elevates the stakes a little bit for the people in the scene, because they know that they can't hit me, but they also need to do their role and perform their choreography. And I think it's pretty good training for you to have that kind of, I guess, motivation and encouragement not to hit the teacher. Although I'm sure a few of them wanted to give me a whack.
Here with you. That was me. That was me.
I'd like to extend a thanks to special guests Rusty Locke and Ken Dickinson for coming out and swinging swords with us, and of course all of our stunt ring wraiths. That is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We sure as heck enjoyed making it. Please support us by hitting that like button, and of course, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to learn more about Fight Like the Movies, you can join our Facebook page and stay up to date on all the exciting lessons we have coming up. And cut.